share that live and when they,
Yeah, I will.
share that when they pass.
Okay, are you ready? Okay, so my name is Chief Mike Bell, M-I-K-E-B-E-L-L. I'm with the City of Coweta Police Department as the Chief of Police. Last night, approximately 10, I believe it was 10:48 hours, we had a phone call come in from a female stating that her boyfriend has just been shot at the Kum Go. There was a robbery that took place. We do know that there was a male, in fact, the clerk that worked at the Kum Go that had received approximately 5 gunshot wounds to his body. We know he's in stable condition at this time at the hospital. I have detectives on their way down there to talk to him. We do know that there was one male subject, light-skinned male subject that went into the store in a black hoodie. We know that he entered the store with the intention to rob it. And we know this because we've watched the video several times. So he walks into the store, he waits for a customer who was in front of him to go to the register, request to buy cigarettes. When he did that, this guy understood that the register was going to be open. As soon as the register opened, he pushed the customer out of the way, and then he walked up to the counter and presented his gun to the clerk and told him to give him the money. There was a little bit of scuffle between the clerk and the suspect. When this took place, that's when the suspect fired 2 rounds, we believe, at that time. He finally got the money, started to leave the store, and the clerk decided to throw something at the subject, and he fired 3 more rounds at the subject, or the clerk. Nobody else in the store was hurt, and no time did he aim the gun at anybody else in the store but the clerk. So that's where we stand right now. We've got hundreds of tips coming in thanks to you guys releasing the information that you did last night. So we've got several, I mean, there's at least 100 or so tips coming into the police department right now that we're gonna have to follow in on. I would like to thank the Wagner County DA's office. They sent over 2 of their investigators to help us out. So we have a team down there now along with our detective and our police officers. And like I said, I've got 1 officer en route to the hospital right now so we can make contact with the individual.
Is he considered armed and dangerous, and what should the public know?
Yes, so being the fact that he actually fired 5 rounds at another human and didn't think anything of it, because he really didn't think anything of it. He actually shot this guy, there's no remorse, you could tell by looking at him. So that tells me that he's very dangerous and he is armed. If it is a Glock, like I think it is, it's most likely gonna have between 10 and 15 rounds in the magazine. He fired off 5, so he's got between 5 and 10 rounds left in that gun.
And when you say scuffle, what do you mean by that? Did the clerk try to grab the gun? What exactly happened there?
So what we can tell by the video, it looks like the clerk put his hands on top of the tray to try and keep the suspect from reaching and grabbing money at that time. So when he puts his hands down on top of the tray to stop him from taking the money, that's when the first 2 shots rang out. So.
And do we know the age of the victim?
I do, but I don't know off the top of my head, so I apologize. I believe he's in his 40s though.
Do you know if there was a car outside or anything like that the suspect might be in?
So we haven't confirmed any vehicles at all in the area at this time. We do know that there were several vehicles that drove up during this time and then left immediately when this started taking place. So it's hard to tell whether they actually came there for service or whether or not they were there to pick them up. We do know that he ran away eastbound again down 51B across the street towards the car wash that's down over there through the first bay and left, because there was a witness that was in the parking lot the whole time watching everything that took place.
Do you guys believe he is still in the area or has fled the area?
I don't believe that he's in the area, but it's hard for us to tell at this moment. With all the tips that we're getting in, it's very difficult for us right now because we're trying to run each one down, and that takes time. So.
What was the purpose for adding some other agencies? Do they have more resources to help you guys with this investigation?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for asking that, by the way. So my detective is actually on leave this week.
No idea, I called
He went to go hunting. And when he did that, I had to call in OSBI. They brought in their team to help us do the crime scene. And Wagner County Sheriff's Department helped us last night with the search of the area. We did a grid search. We also called the Tulsa PD and got their helicopter involved. They actually came down and flew over a couple of the areas for us just to make sure he wasn't in the tree line. I didn't have enough guys last night to start going through all the tree lines that were around the area. It really worries me to send my guys in. We all know what happened at Broken Arrow with the police officer that ran towards trees and what happened to him 2 weeks ago. I don't want my guys running into trees if I can help it. So the police department came in, very much came in handy.
So by himself, Chief, were there any accomplices or anything like that? Did he have anything?
So there was no other accomplices that we can say was inside the store. The witness did hear him yell something when he got to the car wash. So we believe, we're not 100% sure, but we believe he may have been talking to somebody on the other side of the car wash.
And driving past the gas station earlier today, was still taped off. Do you know how long it's anticipated for it to be closed over there?
Yes, sir. So last night at 4:30, I released this scene back over to the manager of Kum Go, and he requested that the tape be left up until they get the store cleaned up and back in order. It was a mess inside the store, and they want to make sure that they get everything cleaned up, and then they'll open back up on Monday, is what they're telling me right now.
You said so the girlfriend placed the call, was she there at the time, did she witness the shooting and she was there to render aid or?
So she was in, no, she didn't render aid at the time because obviously she was pretty terrified about what was going on. This guy was shooting up in the store. All the customers took off running and hid behind shelves and stuff like that. She was actually, the first photo I seen of her, she was standing right next to the cash register talking to her boyfriend who was the clerk. And I know she left and got hidden pretty quick. The other person that was buying the cigarettes actually took off running for the door and tried to get out of the gas station. And then there was a third victim or a third person that was in the store. He was all the way to the back by the coolers.
And when is the last time an armed robbery like this happened in Coweta?
So I've been here 7 years, and this will be our first armed robbery that we've had. And I don't know, I have never done any research to find out if there have been any other ones in Coweta, but I do know this is the first one since I've been here.
Does he look like someone you've seen before? Any previous cases?
No, that's something that I've asked my officers that work the streets. You know, being chief, we kind of get untouched with the streets, so I've asked several of my officers to come in and take a look at the photo. So far, none of them have been able to identify him, which is very, very unusual. So that tells me that he's most likely not from this area.
Yeah, and you mentioned last night you really didn't have the hands to maybe carry this out like you wanted to. Can you just speak to the importance of trying to get to the bottom of this as quickly as possible? Not only because there is someone out there who's considered armed and dangerous, but the longer things like this happen, what that means for being able to solve.
Yes, sir. So we all watch 48 Hours. We understand the first 48 hours of the critical time in any severe crime like this. So we have 48 hours to try and get as much information as we possibly can, because after that it starts to get really quick. So what we're asking right now is, I need all the help I can get from any citizen that's out there that sees this on Facebook and sees it with you guys putting it out there. We need any information that anybody has. We have a tip 411 line that you can get on your Androids or you can get on your iPhones. You can download the app and you can send us photos, you can send us information. It goes directly into dispatch and we give that to an officer right away. So I need as much information as we can possibly get. Remember, this guy shot another human being. So he needs to be caught. He needs to be brought to justice. So any information that you can get me would be greatly appreciated. We'll work with anything we can. Does that answer your question?
It does.
Okay.
people in the tip app can remain anonymous if they want.
Yes, so the tip app is really nice, the tip 411, if you write on there, you don't have to give us your name. All you gotta do is tell us what you wanna do, or what you want us to know. You can also send photos and videos across this thing if you want to. So the good thing is you can remain anonymous, which makes it nice for the people that wanna try and report a crime.
In the latest photos you guys released, it almost looks like he's wearing a mask, was he?
Yes, he was wearing a mask when he came into the store.
Okay.
And the reason I laugh is because I believe the clerk actually took it off of him during the fight. So,
He was shot 5 times.
yes.
Was it in his stomach or where was he hit at?
So I'd be lying to you if I told you exactly where they were located, but I think
I'm
it
not
was the.
certain we're allowed to tell them exactly where they were located.
Well,
That's medical information.
it's 5 body shots, I do know that. Since she's telling me not to say anything, probably shouldn't say anything.
Do you guys believe the victim's gonna be okay?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, he, like I said, last night when we were getting ready to put him on a helicopter, I was actually on the ground talking to him. He knew exactly who he was, he knew who I was, and we were having a conversation. He was trying to give me some information last night as to what he knew. One thing I can tell you is he didn't know the suspect, so that's an important piece of information.
You said he did?
He did not.
Oh, did not,
And
okay.
at this time, I'm assuming none of your witnesses do either.
No, we're getting all kinds of tips though, and so we're gonna have to go through each one of those and figure out whether or not any of those pertain out of something. I apologize, I'm starting to get tired. It's been a long day. And I appreciate you guys coming out here and talking to me and putting this out, getting that information out with those photos. Again, if you need the photos, get with Mandy, give her your email address if you don't already have them. I want this guy caught. We are gonna do everything we can to catch this guy one way or another. He's not gonna sleep at night as far as I'm concerned.
And when do you think you guys will have video to release?
So the video was just released to us from Kum Go. It wasn't everything that we asked for, so we're gonna go back and request more video that they have. And I suspect that sometime tomorrow, I will get that to Mandy, and she will go ahead and release it from there. I'm gonna get it out as quick, look, you need to understand, I'm getting this information out as quickly as I possibly can, but last night, we had a few citizens got really upset with us because we were putting out different information. What they didn't know is, I had several witnesses giving me different stories, and we were trying to get the best information that we could out. So, with you guys, I have time now, and it gives me a chance to put it all together and give you the correct information, and once I do, please get it out there as quickly as you can. Seriously, it will help me tremendously. I don't want this guy sleeping at night, he needs to worry about us coming after him. And if anybody sees this guy, or knows who he is, they need to stay away from him and contact us, because he is dangerous. And one last thing I do want to put out there, I'd like to put out there that the Coweta Fire Department did a remarkable job last night with this guy. The ambulances that we have in the city were outside the city limits at the time, so they did what they could down there. They went down there and did what they could, and they kept this guy alive until we got med flight on the ground and got him away. They did a really remarkable job, so I just want to make sure they get notice for that. Anything else? Okay, you all know my number.